I never thought dying would feel like waking up in someone else's skin. But here I was, staring at a mirror that lied to me. My hands, his hands, trembling as they traced the unfamiliar jawline of Senator Harlan Voss, the man who'd stolen my life twice over. The betrayal hit harder than the car crash that killed me. Because it wasn't just my body he'd taken, it was the truth I'd buried for my family. The one that let him walk free while I paid the price in blood and silence. And as I slipped on his cufflinks, tasting revenge like cheap bourbon on my tongue, I knew the first call I'd make wouldn't be to the cops. It'd be to his wife, whispering the secrets he'd kill to keep. They say the devil's in the details. But for me, it started with a Christmas invite that exposed every fracture in our so-called perfect family. Gifts optional, I'd scrawled on the elegant cardstock, my handwriting looping like the lies we all told ourselves. Because after clawing my way up from nothing in the Windy City, I just wanted one holiday without the weight of expectations. But my blood, Mom with her passive-aggressive sighs, Dad nursing his eternal grudge against the world, and my brother Jax, the golden boy who'd always skated by on charm, showed up empty-handed, arms crossed like accusations, turning my cozy brownstone into a battlefield before the eggnog was poured. My reaction? I laughed, a sharp, unhinged bark that echoed off the walls, then locked the door to the dining room, served myself the turkey alone, and let them stew in the foyer like the ungrateful ghosts they were. It became family legend, whispered at reunions as the year Skylar snapped, but they never admitted it was the spark that lit the fuse to everything that followed. That Christmas was 6 months before the crash. Back when I was still Skylar Hale, 32, a rising star at Voss and Associates, the cutthroat Chicago law firm where power wasn't just currency, it was oxygen. I'd grown up in the shadow of the L trains rattling through Pilsen, daughter of a Mexican-American seamstress and a white-collar dreamer who'd bailed when the bills piled up. Mom worked double shifts at the factory, stitching dreams into knockoff designer labels, while I hustled scholarships and side gigs to escape. Law school at Northwestern was my ticket out, and by 28, I was the firm's youngest junior partner, specializing in corporate espionage cases that made headlines and enemies in equal measure. Senator Harlan Voss wasn't just a client, he was the firm's golden goose. A silver-haired hawk from the Illinois Senate with a smile like a shark's and a Rolodex that could topple governors. He handled sensitive mergers, think tech giants swallowing startups with skeletons in their closets, and I was his fixer, the one who buried the bodies in legalese. We weren't friends. He saw me as useful, a pretty face with a brain he could parade at fundraisers. But I admired him. In that toxic way you idolize the powerful until they gut you. The case that changed everything was Meridian Pharma, a biotech darling accused of fudging clinical trials on a cancer drug that killed more patients than it cured. Voss was knee-deep in their boardroom, pushing a merger with a big pharma behemoth to whitewash the scandal. I uncovered the smoking gun, internal emails proving Voss had signed off on the data manipulation himself, not just as counsel but as a silent investor pocketing millions. It was treason-level corruption, the kind that could have landed him in Supermax if it went public. I confronted him in his corner office overlooking Lake Michigan, the city lights twinkling like distant conspiracies. Harlan, this ends now. We go to the feds. Or I do. He leaned back in his leather throne, steepling fingers that smelled of cigar smoke and old money. Skylar, sweetheart, you think you're the hero here? This firm's your home. Your family's counting on that bonus check for your mom's hip surgery. Walk away, and everyone wins. But I didn't. I copied the files to a thumb drive, slipped it into my purse, and drove home that night plotting my whistleblower move. The crash happened on the Dan Ryan Expressway. Rush hour gridlock turning into chaos when a black SUV, plates traced later to a shell company Voss owned, sideswiped my Prius into the guardrail. I remember the screech of metal, the shatter of glass, then nothing but cold asphalt and sirens. They said I died on impact, spinal severance, and internal bleeding.
Clean. Quick.
But the autopsy? That's where the real nightmare began. Or ended, depending on how you slice it. Waking up in the recovery room of Rush University Medical Center wasn't like the movies. No ethereal light. No out-of-body float. It was nausea, disorientation, and a nurse's voice cooing, "Senator Voss, you're lucky to be alive." I bolted upright. Or tried to. My body felt wrong. Heavier in the chest, broader in the shoulders, a stranger's pulse thudding in my temples. The mirror above the sink showed Harlan Voss's face, patrician nose, salt and pepper hair, eyes like chipped flint. I screamed, but it came out as his gravelly baritone, echoing off sterile walls. Panic clawed at me. I ripped out the four, stumbled into the hall in a hospital gown that hung loose on his frame, demanding to see Skylar Hale. The doctors exchanged glances, pity for the concussed senator, and explained the accident. My body, Skylar's, had been DOA, but Voss, mysteriously on the same stretch of highway, had swerved to avoid debris from my wreck and totaled his Bentley. Coma for 3 days. Now awake. But something was off. EEGs showed anomalous brain activity. Whispers of synaptic bleed or neural echo. They chalked it up to trauma. I knew better. It wasn't an accident. Voss had rigged it, a hit meant for me, botched when his own driver tailed too close. In the chaos, something impossible happened. Our souls swapped. Or minds. Or whatever you call the essence that makes you you. I was trapped in his skin, his memories flickering like static at the edges of my thoughts, flashes of boardrooms, mistresses, a daughter he ignored. And he, my body was cremated, ashes scattered in a hasty memorial my family attended without me. Because who questions a John Doe crash victim?
No.
Skylar Hale's death was ruled accidental. But Voss's team spun it. He'd heroically try to save me, earning sympathy points for his re-election. My family? They got a settlement from the firm, hush money. Really, enough to cover Mom's surgery and Jax's gambling debts. Betrayal doesn't get more intimate than burying your daughter's empty shell while cashing her killer's check. I played along at first, discharging myself against medical advice. Holing up in Voss's Gold Coast penthouse with its marble floors and views of the yacht club.
His wife,
Elena, a brittle socialite with Botox-frozen smiles, fussed over me, mistaking my silence for grief. You poor thing. Seeing that poor girl go like that. Poor girl.
Me.
I wanted to claw her perfectly manicured face, but I needed access, his phone, his safe, his secrets. The first night, alone with a bottle of Macallan 25, his vice. Not mine. I hacked his email using passwords from the mental static, Elena loves me 69. How original. There it was, the Meridian cover-up. Emails to fixers about neutralizing the Hale problem, and worse, a hidden thread with my brother Jax. Jax, the ne'er-do-well sibling who dropped out of community college and bummed off me for years, had been Voss's informant. For a cut of the payoff, he'd fed Voss details on my investigation, my late nights, my doubts, even my route home that night. She's digging too deep. Senator. Handle it quiet. My own blood. Selling me out for 30 pieces of silver and a promise of a lobbyist gig. The rage settled like frost in my veins, his veins. This wasn't just corporate greed, it was personal Armageddon. Voss had taken my life, my face, my family's loyalty. But now I had his power, Senate immunity, black book connections, a fortune in offshore accounts. Revenge wouldn't be a scream in the dark, it'd be a scalpel, precise and lingering. I started small, testing the waters. As Voss, I attended a fundraiser at the Art Institute, schmoozing donors with his oily charm while slipping a USB to a journalist from the Tribune, anonymous tip on Meridian's trials. The story broke 2 days later. Pharma giant faces renewed scrutiny after fatal flaws exposed. Voss's stocks tanked, Elena's Botox lines deepened. She cornered me in the kitchen, wineglass trembling. Harlan, what have you done? Our donors are pulling out. I smiled his smile, patting her hand. Darling, sometimes the truth sets you free, even if it costs an arm and a leg. But Jack's was the throat I wanted to squeeze first. I drove to Pilsen in Voss's Escalade, the engine purring like a predator. Parking outside, the dingy walk-up mom still called home. She answered the door, her face lighting up at Harlan, the man who'd sent the checks. Senator, what a surprise.
Come in.
Mia Moore's making tamales. I stepped inside, the scent of masa and cumin twisting the knife, memories of childhood holidays, now poisoned. Jack slouched on the couch, nursing a beer, eyes widening when he saw me. Senator Voss?
Shit. Man.
What's up? I sat across from him, legs crossed like a king, and watched him squirm. Just checking on my investments. Jackson. How's that lobbyist dream treating you? His Adam's apple bobbed, sweat beaded on his brow. Mom bustled in the kitchen, oblivious. You two talk business. I'll set an extra plate. We talked.
All right.
I laid it out, not the swap. That'd land me in a psych ward, but the betrayal. I know what you did.
Jax.
Skylar's files. The tip-off. You think 30 grand buys silence forever? He paled, stammering denials. But I had screenshots on my phone, timestamps matching his texts. It was a mistake. Senator. She was gonna blow it all up, ruin us. I did it for Mom. For Mom. The lie that justified fratricide. I could have ended him there, pushed him down the stairs, claimed a fall. But controversy demands spectacle. Instead, I whispered, leak this to the press.
Jax.
Confess your role. Or I make sure every bookie in Chicago knows where your debts really lie. He nodded. Broken. And I left with tamales wrapped in foil, the warmth seeping through like false comfort. That night, Jax's anonymous post hit Reddit's r/Chicago politics. Insider spills on Voss Meridian corruption. My brother sold me out. The internet erupted. My family legend from Christmas paled in comparison. Voss's empire cracked next. I used his clout to subpoena records, posing as the crusading senator reforming pharma oversight. Board meetings became interrogations. His cronies squirmed under my gaze, spilling tales of payoffs and cover-ups. Elena filed for divorce papers by week 3, citing irreconcilable differences on page 6, differences like me draining their Cayman accounts to fund victim lawsuits. Harlan's lost his mind, she hissed over the phone. Paranoia. Audits. It's destroying us. I laughed. That same unhinged bark from Christmas.
Good.
Let it burn. The climax brewed at the Illinois State Fair in Springfield. Voss's annual photo op turned war zone. I'd orchestrated it. Whistleblowers testifying before a sham committee I'd stacked. Meridian execs subpoenaed. And Jax in the wings. Mike ready for his mea culpa. The crowd swelled. Farmers in flannel. Activists with signs. Voss equals poison. The air thick with corn dogs and outrage. As I took the podium, his voice booming through speakers, I felt the swap's weight. This body, this power, mine to wield like Excalibur. But then the twist, the real gut punch. Midway through my speech, decrying systemic betrayal, a voice from the crowd. Liar. It was Mom. Pushing through security, eyes wild with grief. Skylar, is that you?
Dios mío.
What happened to you? The murmurs rippled. Cameras flashed. She'd found my hidden letter, the one I'd written pre-crash, confessing my role in the Meridian probe and begging her to protect Jax if things went south. But Jax had intercepted it. Burned it, except for the ash she pieced together after his Reddit post. She lunged on stage, clutching a photo of me, real me, in her apron. The one from that empty-handed Christmas. My daughter's dead because of you.
But.
Your eyes. Skylar.
Mi hija.
The crowd gasped. I froze. His face cracking under her touch. In that moment, the static surged, Voss's memories flooding. Not just the hit.
But the why.
I'd been wrong. The data manipulation? My doing. In a desperate bid to impress him, I'd forged the emails, buried the flaws, thinking it'd secure partnership. Voss discovered it, confronted me, not to kill, but to fire. The SUV? Jax's idea. A warning gone wrong, but Voss had swerved to save me, trading places in death's cruel joke. Betrayal reversed. I'd framed him. My family complicit in the cover. Mom's tears weren't accusation. They were absolution. We all sinned. Mija. Come home. The fair dissolved into chaos, arrests, headlines, but I walked off stage. Voss's body sloughing like a shed skin. The swap unraveling in the revelation. Did I deserve the penthouse or the grave? The crowd debated it for months, villain or victim, as dawn broke over the Sangamon River.
Issues. No Supermax. No Sandhood.
Just a quiet drive back to Pilsen. Tamales cold on the seat, ready to face the family legend we'd rewrite together. Or tear apart. In America, redemption's just another controversy waiting to happen. The drive back from Springfield felt eternal. The Escalade's headlights cutting through cornfields like accusations. Each mile marker a reminder that freedom's just a fancy word for the noose tightening slower. Mom's face haunted me, those eyes. Soft with forgiveness I didn't earn. Calling me Mija, in a voice that bridged the impossible. But as Voss's radio droned NPR analysis of the Voss meltdown, experts debating if it was midlife crisis or mob hit, I gripped the wheel harder. The swap wasn't fading. If anything, it anchored deeper. His arthritis flaring in my knuckles like karmic pins and needles. What if this was permanent? What if Skylar Hale was gone for good? A ghost puppeteering a senator's corpse? I pulled over at a pilot truck stop off I-55, the neon buzzing like a migraine, and stared at the dash cam's blank screen. Call the cops? Expose the supernatural switcheroo? In Chicago, where aldermen vanish and scandals bloom like lakeshore weeds. Who'd believe it? I'd end up in a padded cell at Cook County, doped on Haldol, while Elena auctioned off the penthouse to pay alimony.
No.
Revenge demanded subtlety now. A slow bleed rather than a slash. Jack's first, my Judas brother, who'd lit the match on our family's powder keg. His texts lit up my Voss's phone as I idled there. Gas fumes mingling with regret. Senator. WTF happened? Mom's freaking. Call me. I dialed. Voice modulator app on, his natural timbre too recognizable. Pitching it low and distorted. You sold your sister. Jackson. Now own it, he sputtered. Background noise of a bar stool scraping, probably drowning sorrows at the green mill. Skylar? Holy shit. Is that how? I hung up, then forwarded the Meridian files to his email, tagged with a single line. Confess or combust.
By dawn.
I was back in the city, ditching the SUV for a cab to Pilsen, the fare eating into Voss's petty cash like acid. Mom's block looked the same, graffiti-tagged stoops. Bodega cats eyeing me like I owed them milk, but I felt alien. His loafers scuffing sidewalks I'd once ruled in chucks. I knocked. His heart, pounding with arrhythmia. She opened the door in her robe, hair a silver halo, and pulled me inside without a word, enveloping me in cilantro and Chanel No. 5 knockoff. Harlan Voss, she said, not a question. But her hand lingered on my arm, tracing veins that weren't mine. Or whoever you are now. We sat at the Formica table, coffee steaming between us, hers black as sin, mine loaded with cream like Skylar's old habit. She didn't pry about the swap. Mothers know when to let the unnatural be. Instead, she slid over a shoebox. Yellowed photos spilling, me at 5. Gap-toothed grin in a poinsettia dress. Jack's at 10. Stealing my bike, that Christmas. All of us posed stiffly. Gifts optional but resentment mandatory. You were always the fixer? Mija. Even when it broke you. Her voice cracked on the last word. And I saw it. The hidden secret she'd buried deeper than my ashes. Dad hadn't bailed for bills. He'd OD'd on pills she'd hidden. A mercy kill after cancer hollowed him out. I'd taken the fall at school, lying to counselors about absentee dad, shielding her shame. Our family's original sin. I suffered for her crime.
Just like now.
Jack's burst in an hour later, reeking of Jameson and fear, slamming the door like it owed him. Skylar? Mom said, Jesus.
It's you.
In his body, he collapsed into a chair, face crumpling like wet newsprint. I leaned forward, Voss's cologne cloying the air. Spill it.
Jax.
All of it. Why me? He rubbed his neck, eyes darting to Mom's knife block. Voss promised the gig after you made partner. Clean money. But you started sniffing around Meridian, ranting about ethics over Thanksgiving turkey. I told him you had doubts. Thought it'd make you back off. Not, he choked, tears carving tracks through stubble. The SUV was supposed to scare you. Sideswipe and bail. Driver panicked when Voss's car merged. Next thing, you're dead. He's in coma. And I'm cashing checks like a coward. Mom slapped him, crisp, echoing, her first violence since Dad. Estupido. For what? A suit and a tie. Jack sobbed, confessions tumbling. He'd forged my signature on the firm's ethics waiver, the one that greenlit the data fudge. I'd signed it clean, but his tweak made me complicit. The mistake Voss pinned on me. Betrayal layered like onions, each peel stinging deeper. I wanted to hate him, but the static hummed, Voss's memory of Jax as a useful idiot, groomed since law school mixers. My brother wasn't the villain, he was the pawn in a bigger game. We plotted there, over cooling coffee, Jax's public mea culpa amplified. Not as leak, but live stream from a podunk presser. Mom's role? Testify on the family angle. Humanize the scandal.
Mine?
As Voss, I'd push the Senate bill gutting pharma immunity, turning his power against the machine. But controversy loomed. Leaking the swap would shatter us. A tabloid circus of senator-possessed headlines. We keep it secret, I said, voice steadying into something hybrid. Mine and his. Revenge as theater. Let them think Voss cracked from guilt. The next weeks blurred into a fever dream of duality. By day, I was Senator Voss at caucuses, filibustering cronies with righteous fury. His drawl laced with my sarcasm. Gentlemen, if corruption paid taxes, we'd balance the budget. Whispers spread. Harlan's gone rogue. Born again or breakdown. Elena's lawyers circled, demanding psych evals. I countered with her affair receipts, digitized from his safe.
Nights.
I shed the suit in Mom's basement, raiding my old closet for hoodies that strained over his gut, meeting Jax at dive bars to script his redemption arc. The tension peaked at a black tie gala at the Drake Hotel. Meridian's CEO, slick as seal oil, cornering me in the coat room. Senator, this witch hunt? It's personal. Hale was a liability, you know that. His breath reeked of escargot and entitlement. I smiled, slow, slipping a flash drive into his pocket, audio of Voss's own orders. My voice dubbing the threats. Watch it tonight, Mr. Hargrove. Or tomorrow. The world does. He blanched, tucks rumpling as he backed away. By dessert, his resignation hit the wires. Health reasons. The room buzzed. I toasted with Voss's club soda, bubbles mocking the champagne highs. But power's a drug, and I was hooked. Decisions teetering on the controversial edge.
Do I expose jak se sforgery.
Crucify my blood for truth? Or bury it? Let the family myth endure? Mom saw the war in my eyes, his eyes, and pressed a rosary into my palm. Perdón starts with you, Skylar. Even if it ends in fire. Her words echoed as I drove to the firm, Voss's firm, now mine by proxy. The partners awaited in the boardroom, vultures in pinstripes. Harlan, the Meridian fallout, clients are fleeing. I stood at the head, channeling every courtroom win I'd ever had. Good. We're pivoting to justice. Or you're out. Gasps rippled. One, old mentor type, muttered. This isn't you. I leaned in, breath hot. That's the point. It never was. Jax's presser went viral 2 days later. Streamed from a VFW hall in Bridgeport, flags drooping like defeated hopes. I betrayed my sister for a paycheck, he said. Voice raw, tears unscripted. Voss's machine chewed her up. I handed her the spoon. Mom flanked him, clutching that Christmas photo. Her testimony a gut punch. Families break secrets to survive. But lies? They bury us alive. The clip racked 10 million views. Hail Betrayal trended. Protesters marching on Voss's office, my office, with effigies of the senator as Judas. Revenge tasted sweet, but the UM lingered. Shadows lengthening. Elena showed up unannounced one night, key still in hand, finding me in silk pajamas that fit wrong.
Scrolling victime forum on Voss's laptop.
Harlan, or whoever this ends. The divorce settlement includes the kids' college fund. Her daughter, Lila, 16 and sharp as shattered glass, peeked from the hall, eyes narrowing. Dad, you look haunted. I froze. Voss's memory surged. abandoning Lila's recitals for deals. The guilt he drowned in scotch. Kiddo. It's me. But not. She stepped closer, unafraid. Then fix it. For real. Her words cracked the dam. The next decision? Controversial as hell. I called a press conference. Not as crusader, but confessor. Senator Voss implicated in Hale death. Full disclosure imminent. The twist loomed. But not yet. First, the climax, confronting the true architect, Hargrove, in his lakeside McMansion. I arrived at midnight.
No entouraje.
Just a Beretta from Voss's nightstand unloaded, but the threat real. He met me on the deck, wind whipping off the water, scotch in hand. You want absolution, Voss? It costs. We talked till stars faded, his role in the trials, bribing FDA inspectors. Voss's cut that funded my promotion. But the bomb, Schuyler's forgery, Hargrove's plant, slipped into my files to test loyalty.
Y debiten.
Thinking it savvy. You were complicit from jump.
Hale.
Voss cleaned up your mess. The reversal hit like bilge water. I'd betrayed myself first. The family sends a mirror to my ambition. I left him cuffed to a railing, anonymous tip to feds en route, driving into dawn with the gun's weight lighter. Revenge wasn't slaying dragons, it was realizing you rode one. Back home, Mom waited with Pozole, steam rising like prayers. And now, she asked. I shrugged, his shoulders aching. We rebuild. Or burn it all. The debate raged online. Hero's arc or hypocrite's fall. In America, the answer's always both. Rebuilding started with breakfast. Ironic. How the mundane anchors the mad. Mom's Pozole simmered on the stove, hominy bobbing like buoys in a sea of guilt, while Jack shuffled in, hollow-eyed from the presser's backlash. Reporters camped his doorstep. He'd lost the apartment, crashing on friends' couches that smelled of regret and red vines. Sis, Senator, whatever. The feds want me for the forgery. His voice was a rasp. The golden boy tarnished to tin. I buttered a tortilla, Voss's cholesterol be damned, and slid it over. Then testify. Truth's the only out. Mom nodded, ladle poised like a scepter.
Sí.
No more shadows. But shadows clung, thick as the December chill seeping through cracked windows. Elena's divorce decree landed that afternoon. A courier in a cheap suit thrusting it like a subpoena. Sign. Senator. Or the psych eval goes public. I scanned it in the kitchen. Voss's Montblanc pen hovering, alimony steep. Custody to her. Lila's future a footnote. The controversial choice. Fight for the kid. Expose the swap to claim paternity in reverse? Or let go? Preserve the illusion? I signed, adding a postscript. Tell Lila the truth someday. About debts paid in full. Mailed it back with a check for double. Wired from an account I'd laundered clean. The firm crumbled next. Partners scattering like roaches to dawn. I called an all-hands from Voss's desk, now mine, piled with subpoenas and hate mail scented like printer ink. Voss and Associates is dead. We're rebranding. Hail Justice Partners. Pro bono for the wronged. Murmurs erupted. The old guard bolted. But juniors, kids like I'd been, hungry for right, stayed, eyes alight. Controversy brewed. Chicago Bar Association sniffing ethics violations. Whispers of Voss's breakdown, masking deeper rot. I didn't care. Power shifted. From boardrooms to back alleys. My first case, a Meridian widow suing for her husband's botched trial. Nights brought the tension's peak. insomnia gnawing like rats in the walls. I'd pace the penthouse, mine till the auction, Voss's ghosts whispering, mistress's numbers, bribe ledgers, a hidden drawer with photos of me, Skylar, candid shots from fundraisers, his scrawl on the back, the one who got away, creepy, possessive, a reminder that even in death, he'd coveted what I built. The static amplified, dreams bleeding boundaries, me and my body, arguing cases, him and mine, fleeing the crash. Was the swap punishment or prize? A cosmic joke on ambition's price? Jax's trial loomed. Federal courthouse in the loop, a fortress of marble and malice. I testified as Voss. Character witness twisted. Jackson Hale acted under duress. My duress. The Meridian machine coerced him, as it did his sister. The prosecutor, a bulldog from the DOJ, leaned in, and your sudden piety. Senator, born of coma visions. Laughter rippled. I met his gaze. Unflinching. Born of loss. Counselor. Some debts you pay forward. Mom sat front row. Rosary clicking like a metronome. Her presence the anchor. Lila slipped in late. Incognito in a hoodie. Her stare burning questions. After, in the hall, she cornered me. Dad's a monster.
But you.
You're fighting. Why? I touched her shoulder, his hand gentle for once. Because monsters make more.
Kid.
Don't let it. The climax crested at the Meridian shareholder meeting. Chicago Convention Center, a hive of suits and suspicion. I'd crashed it as boss, badge clipped like a bomb vest, demanding the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, your board poisoned thousands for profit. Today, we dissolve. The chaos, shouts, security swarming. Hargrove's empty chair, a throne of absence. I projected the files, my thumb drive, Voss's voiceovers dubbed with confessions, victims' faces fading in, a nurse from Gary, lungs scarred, a dad from Joliet, chemo's hollow husk. The room fractured, investors fleeing, activists chanting justice for Hale, outside. Fists flew in the scrum. I took a punch to the jaw, his jaw, blood coppery on my tongue, but I laughed, that legendary bark echoing. Escaping into the fray, I hit the streets, pulse racing, the city's pulse sinking, horns blaring.
El tren sandring a Proval.
But the real gut twist waited in an alley off Michigan Avenue. Rain sheeting down like absolution.
Hannah.
Umbrella inverted. Stepped from shadows. Lila at her side. Harlan, Skylar, we know. My stomach dropped. Lila's phone glowed with a deepfake app, mocking up the swap in eerie detail. Lila's a coder. She pieced it from your coma footage. Elena's eyes, thawed from frost, held pity. The question, do we help or hinder? Controversy incarnate. Expose me as fraud. Claim the penthouse? Or ally? Rewrite the narrative? They chose the latter. Elena leaking Voss's mistresses to distract the press. Lila hacking firewalls to bury the autopsy anomalies. Family's messy, Lila said, hugging awkward. But optional gifts? That's just rude. We laughed. Rain mingling tears. The bond forged in fire's afterglow. Yet you persisted.
Decisions darkening.
Jax got probation. Community service scrubbing graffiti, poetic, painting over his sins. Mom sold the house. Splitting proceeds 3 ways. Therapy funds. Victim trusts. A trust for Lila.
Me?
I resigned the Senate. Citing personal revelation, the speech a masterclass in ambiguity. Power corrupts unless you let it remake you. Crowds cheered, pundits pilloried. Voss's exit, sainthood or sanity slip? The debate fueled late-night monologues. America chewing on its heroes like gristle. Deeper cuts came private. Therapy with a shrink who specialized in traumatic dissociation, sessions in a Wicker Park loft where I unpacked the swap like luggage. "You're not possessed," she said. Glasses perched like a challenge. "You're evolved. But evolution demands sacrifice." She was right. I sacrificed Voss's legacy, donating his library to underfunded clinics, his cars to rideshares for low-income moms. But the crime I'd borne? My forgery, the mistake that snowballed. In a letter to victims' families, I confessed anonymously, I was the flaw in the system. Forgive if you can. Tension coiled tightest at Christmas, irony's gift, a year from the legend. We gathered at Mom's new bungalow in Berwyn.
No invites.
Just texts. Show up. Gifts optional. Hearts required. Jax arrived with AA chips. Elena with pie. Truce and crust. Lila with code for an app tracking pharma trials.
Mom Licande.
Not menorah or tree, but a vigil for Dad. For me the ghost. I walked in last. Still in Voss's frame. But softer, gym rat lean from runs along the lake. My reaction this time? I joked. Hanging my coat. Turkey for all.
No lax.
We ate. Story spilling. Jax's first sober holiday. Lila's hackathon win. Elena's gallery opening. Paintings of fractured mirrors. Souls swapped in oil. Laughter bridged gaps. But undercurrents swirled. Whispers of, what if this swap reverses? No one asked. Some mysteries mend better sealed. As midnight tolled, fireworks popping over the suburbs, I stepped outside. Snow dusting his hair like dandruff from divinity. The city hummed distant, a beast sated but stirring. Revenge complete? Or just intermission? The answer came in a call at dawn. Hargrove, from Club Fed, singing like a canary on RICO charges. It was all Voss, he lied, protecting the dead. But the twist inverted again. Recording surfaced. My voice, Skylar's, authorizing the data tweak. Not forgery, but ambition's echo. I'd whispered it to Jax in a weak moment. Fudge the numbers. Secure the win. He'd done it alone. My words the seed. Betrayal's loop closed. I'd planted my own downfall. Family the fertile soil.
Bi kịch có hậu.
As I hung up, snow melting on my tongue, I chose debate. America thrives on it. Heroes flawed. Villains human. I texted the group. Truth's out. Discuss. Replies pinged. Outrage. Hugs. One from Lila. Legend status. Upgraded. Dawn's light filtered through Berwyn's lace curtains like a hesitant confessor. Gilding the living room where we'd crashed, Jax on the couch. Snoring softly. Lila curled in an armchair. Laptop glowing with code dreams. Elena and Mom sharing the guest bed. Whispers of old wounds mending. I slipped out. Voss's brogues crunching frost on the lawn. Breath fogging in the crisp air. The call from Hargrove lingered. His gravelly plea. Cut me slack.
Hale.
It was your whisper. A serpent's hiss uncoiling the final knot. My ambition hadn't forged the blade. It had honed it. Passing to Jax's trembling hand. The crime I'd shouldered? Self-inflicted. A daughter's drive echoing a father's fall. Walking the block. Past ranch homes twinkling with icicles. I felt the static shift, not fading, but harmonizing. His memories mine like inherited debt. Voss the man, a boy from Rockford trailer parks. Clawing to Senate via charm and cuts, The father who'd missed Lila's first steps for filibusters. The lover who'd proposed to Elena on bended knee. Ring pilfered from a client's vault. Villain?
Yes.
But Power's puppeteer. Strings pulled by the same machine I'd fed. Revenge? Then. Wasn't demolition but dissection, laying bare the anatomy of betrayal, from boardroom to bloodline. Back inside. Coffee perked. The family stirred. Jack's first. Eyes bloodshot but clear. Heard the call. My bad. All mine.
No defensiveness.
Just ownership, AA's gift. Mom hugged him fierce. Then me. Her embrace spanning bodies. We carry what we plant. Me, Joe. Elena poured mugs. Her socialite poise cracked to reveal steel, and uproot the rest. I've got a lawyer, pro bono now, for the victim's class action. Lila yawned. Joining the circle. Apps Live. Crowdsources trial data. Named it Swapwatch Subtle. Right? We chuckled. The sound a bomb. But tension threaded it. The swap's permanence. A specter at the feast. The day unfolded in rituals reclaimed, to Molly's steaming. Not from Mom's hands, but a communal need. Dough sticky with stories. Jax confessed over masa. Christmas last year? I showed empty-handed 'cause Voss said you'd cut me off if I didn't spy.
Elena nodded.
Adding her shard. Harlan bragged about taming the Spitfire. You? Skylar. I ignored it. Blind to the cost. Lila piped up. Teen blunt. Dad's emails?
Creepier.
But you wearing his skin? Kinda badass. Controversy in every bite. Forgive the puppeteer. Or puppet the past. Afternoon brought the world knocking. Reporters at the gate. Drones buzzing like vultures. I faced them from the porch. Voss's voice steady. The Hale Voss saga? It's America's story. Ambition. Error. Redemption. Debate it. But don't divide it. Flashes popped. Questions flew, Senator. Coma conspiracy? Soul swap hoax. I deflected with a smile. His trademark. Laced with my wink. Some truths are stranger than fiction. Read the filings. They dispersed. Hungry for more. The legend evolving from family whisper to national myth. Evening deep in the U.M. Shadows pooling as we decorated. Not a tree, but a vigil board. Photos pinned with strings to sins. Meridian memos. Jax's texts. My whispered doubt.
Lila LDS.
Casting glows like fireflies in fog. Twist ending, she said. Pinning the last, a news clip of Voss's heroic swerve. You saved him. He saved you. Cosmic tie. Mom crossed herself. Jax poured tequila shots. To ties that bind. Not blind. We clinked. The burn-chasing chill. But my decision loomed. Controversial core. Expose the swap fully. Shatter the illusion for truth's floodlight? Or seal it? Let the hybrid heal? The call came at dusk. DOJ prosecutor. Voice like wet gravel. Hail forgery?
Bunk.
Hargrove's scrambling. But your audio clears Voss. You? A pause. Heavy as indictment. Complicit whisper. But no charge. Immunity for testimony. Freedom's hook.
Barbed.
I hung up. Stepping into the yard. Snow falling thicker. Muffling the world's roar. The static peaked. Voss's essence surging. Not invasion but invitation, join me. Finish it. I saw the path. Testify as hybrid. Reveal the swap in court. Turn trial to spectacle. Heroes don't hide, they haunt. But by kitsch beckon sweeter. No, I whispered to the flakes. We end quiet. Back inside. I gathered them. The truth reverses again. I whispered the fudge to Jax. A moment's madness. But the hit? Voss's mercy gone wrong. Gasps. Then nods. Acceptance's grace. Elena squeezed my hand. Then we write the epilogue. Together. Mom led a prayer. Spanish lilting into English. Souls invoked without summons. Midnight mass at St.
Pious.
Candles flickering on faces familiar and strange. Parishioners eyeing Senator Voss with suspicion. Mom's nod silencing stares. The homily on forgiveness rang hollow. Priest droning Mary's meekness. But I heard revolution. Power in the meek's quiet storm.
Outside.
Carols caroled by choirs of drunks. The city a tapestry of tension, protests simmering downtown. Holiday lights masking fractures. We drove home silent. The Escalade's heat thawing bones, if not bones deep. The final twist unraveled in dream. Or half-wake, the swap reversing. Not in flash, but fade. I woke to my hand, Skylar's small. Callous from pens not power. In my old bed. Mom's quilt tucked tight. Voss's body slumped beside. Empty vessel breathing shallow.
Panic? No. Peace.
I shook him. Eyes fluttered, his blue as Lake Michigan in rage. Skylar, he croaked. Voice mine. The exchange complete. Souls sorted by truth's tribunal. He sat up,
Disoriented.
touching his face mine. What's sorcery? I cut him. Justice. You drove the swerve. I drove the fall. Now drive the change.
Vi tar sked till dawn.
Not enemies but echoes. His regrets mirroring mine. The machine we'd both oiled. Controversial accord. He takes the shell. Confesses as Skylar Hale reborn.
Clears my name. I.
Back in skin. But scarred with sight. Epilogue dawned gray. Family reconvening -1 Voss. Remanded to psych. Hold. Scripting his amnesia recovery tale. Jax got his lobby gig. Ethical now. Elena's gallery thrived on scandal portraits. Lila's app went viral. Swaps of data, not souls. Mom and I, back to pills and roots. Her hip new. My practice small but fierce. Cases for the swapped.
The sidelined.
The legend? The year Skylar swapped and snapped back. Debated at bars.
Forum.
Family firesides. Redemption's cost. Revenge's return.
Gaho.
In stitches and stories.
Yes. Bikik.
In the man who wore my face to facing mirrors. America argues, we live it. Gifts optional. But grace? Mandatory. And as spring thawed Chicago's grip, I ran the lake path. Legs mine again. Wind whispering finished? Never. The tension endures. Dark and dramatic. A pulse in the nation's vein. That's the real hook.